Kakadosh Boker Or Mishna Yomi Masechet Batra Perek Hey, chapter 5, Mishnah Bet and Gimel 2 and 3. Says the Mishnah. In the earlier times, donkeys were used for riding, right, and for carrying also burdens, right, carry loads. So therefore, right, he had two different types of gear. One of them was going to be the saddle, which that's when you're sitting down, and one of them is the carrying gear. So it all depends on what it is. So he says, hamor. If you're going to sell a donkey, lo machar kelav, you do not sell the carrying gear, even if it's wearing it at the time, because I only sold the hamor. Maybe I only sold it just for the saddle. I didn't sell the gear that comes with it. So he says, Nahuma Madi comes and he says, machar kelav. No, you do come and you sell the gear, right, which was wearing at the time of the sale. But it all depends. When I come and I see the donkey, I check out what the gear is. If the gear is with the saddle or the gear was with the carrying. So I sold it with the gear. Rabbi Yehuda comes and he says, Pa'amim mechurin, pa'amim eno mechurin. So it comes out of three-way machloket. Right, one more time. Tana Kama says, you sold the donkey, it's a donkey the way that it is. No gear. Comes Nahum Amadi, you sold the gear. Comes Rabbi Yehuda, sometimes yes, sometimes no. Keitzad, what's the case? If the chamor is in front of him, the kelim, right, or on top of it, right? Ve'amalon, he said, Mechor li chamorcha zeh. Sell me this chamor, right? Which is basically your chamor, right? So he says, Hare kelav mechurim, that the gear is going to be sold. Because since he said this, it meant that in this, the way that it is, that it's got the gear on top of it. He says exactly as is. He says, chamorcha hu. But if he just said, is this your donkey? Right? En kelav mechurim. So then no. Because I just say, is this your donkey? Is this your donkey? How is your donkey? Right? So therefore, right, it's not going to be included in the sale. Mishnah Gimel. Hamocheret hamor, macharet siyach. If you come and you sell a donkey, right, and you specify that you're selling a nursing donkey, so therefore, macharet siyach, he sold also the foal, which is basically with the mother, which means the child as well, because the non-kosher milk of the donkey has no value unless it's going to be food for the child. Okay, so that means when he came and he said, I'm selling you a nursing donkey, it means that you're selling you the child with the mother. Like that's obvious. Macharet para, lo macharet bana. But when you sell a cow, you didn't sell, and it's a nursing cow, you didn't sell the child because the milk is still valuable even without the child. It's only you, the child, right? So the milk is always valuable of a cow, right? We see it every single day. Fine. Macharet ashpa, machaz zivla. If you sold the manure pile, so you sold the manure as well. Because I sold you the pile with the manure. It says if you sold the pit, you sold the water. If you sold the kaveret, the beehive, you sold the bees. If you sold the dovecote, the shovach, you sold the pigeons, right? Because again, in all of these things, right? In all of these things, since it's an intrinsic part of it, it's worthless without it. I'm not going to sell you a dovecote without doves. I'm going to sell you the beehives without bees. I have to sell you with it. If someone buys the production of a dovecote from his fellow, and the pigeons that are going to be born during the next year, he's going to chase away the first pair of pigeons that are born, so that they will return to the seller's dovecotes. And these birds, together with the parents, are kept by the seller. So the dovecote will continue to produce the following year. Perot kaveret, if someone buys the production of a kaveret, that means he's not buying the actual, he's buying the production of it. So he says, he's going to take the first 3 swarms of the bees, right, that they exit, and after that, he takes every other swarm, right? But he must leave the rest for the seller, right? Again, so he has enough in order to survive. If he buys the honeycombs, he always has to leave 2 combs behind. You know what honeycombs are, right? You know, it looks like honeycomb cereal. Right? It looks like it, and it's with all the honey. So he comes and he says like this. He says, right, the bees could eat their honey during the winter season. Let me tell you this: if he's going to come and he's going to take it away, they're going to die because they don't have food. So he has to leave 2 behind. Zetim lakutz. If right now he's going to buy olive trees to cut down for firewood, he has to leave 2 branches behind for the seller, because then only the branches were sold and not the tree itself. So if you have to leave enough in order that it's going to grow back. So if you have 2, it's going to come and it's going to grow back.